Hi there. I am standing in a doorway that perhaps you've never seen before. This is the doorway that is around the side of our synagogue building. But as we're under construction, our main entrance is of course closed. I'm standing here to show all of you this entrance because beginning this Shabbat morning, our religious school, our CJL, our Center for Jewish Learning, will once again commence with a brand new year of learning, a year that we are so excited about, with Rabbi Leora Frankel at the helm as our Director of Congregational Learning, Amy Rosenbaum as our CJL Principal, and Yael Farber as our full-time Director of Youth Engagement. And it's apropos to be, so I'm standing in this doorway because this is the doorway that all of our families will use to enter into our building. It is safe, it is secure. When kids are present, we will have a security guard on premises to make sure that everybody enters this place safely and securely, and only the people who should be in the building are truly in the building. But it's apropos that I'm standing here this week with this week's Torah portion, Parshat Tavo. Tavo can be divided really into three sections. The first is a statement, a formula that a farmer would make upon bringing his first fruits to the temple, the first product of his farming. It's in fact a statement that finds its way into the Passover Haggadah, beginning with the words, "My father was a wandering Aramean." The second part, which I'll come back to in a moment, is about erecting large plastered steles upon the entering into the land. And finally, it ends with what's known as a Tochacha, a rebuke, a series of blessings and curses that are uttered to the Israelite people. Blessings if you fulfill God's promises and God's commandments, and of course all the curses that will happen to you if you don't. The second part is interesting. As the Israelites enter the land, they are told by Moses to erect two very, very large pillars, stone pillars, to coat them in plaster and then to write the words of Deuteronomy onto them. They kind of symbolize for me Mezuzahs on steroids, or this in old Western movies, the sign that would be posted on the entrance into the town of the rules that were expected for everybody to obey. Similarly, we don't put up large pillars of stone anymore and write all the words of Deuteronomy on them, but typically on a doorway, and we need perhaps put one on this doorway, there's often a mezuzah, a statement of it being a Jewish home, a statement of the values that we want to make sure are lived within that home. Ultimately, values of menschlichkeit, how we want to treat one another, how we want to respond to one another, how we want to be compassionate to one another. The Israelites, or perhaps, and also anybody who are entering the land of Israel and ancient Israel, saw these, and they saw what was expected of them upon entering the land. So too, when we enter Jewish spaces, frankly, when we enter any spaces, the ways in which we should behave should be really written on our hearts and in our minds, those words to love God, to love the stranger, to love all the people in our midst. So in advance of the Shabbat, where we all kind of come back and return into learning, into Torah study, into the acts of good deeds, we also turn to a number of our youngsters once again becoming bar bat mitzvah. I want to send a special mazel tov, a shout out to the Rosenstadt and the Marshall families whose kids are going to become b'nai mitzvah this Shabbat. And of course to say to all of you, bruchim habayim, welcome back to another wonderful year of learning.